There's a type of person who walks into a room and something shifts. Nobody announced them. Nobody pulled people aside and said, "Hey, pay attention to this person." They didn't walk in bragging about what they've done or who they know. They didn't demand anything from anyone. But the room felt it. People looked up. Conversations paused for half a second. And without a single word being spoken, that person had already earned something most people spend their entire lives chasing. Respect. And here's what drives most people crazy about it. They can't figure out why. Because this person isn't necessarily the richest one there, isn't the best looking, isn't the most decorated. But something about them just hits different. Something about the way they carry themselves makes you want to listen before they even open their mouth. Today, I'm going to break down the exact psychology behind that. The silent signals that make people take you seriously. The behaviors that communicate respect before a single word leaves your mouth. But there's one signal I'm saving for the end. Because it's the one that separates genuinely respected people from everyone else. And I promise you, most people are doing the complete opposite right now without even realizing it. Let's start with the mistake that quietly destroys respect for millions of people every single day. Most people walk into social situations with one invisible goal running in the background of their brain. They want to be liked. And on the surface that sounds totally harmless. But watch what it actually does to a person. They start adjusting what they say based on who's listening. They laugh at jokes they don't find funny. They change their opinion mid-conversation because they sensed mild disagreement. They shrink. They edit. They perform. All in search of that feeling, that nod of approval that tells them they're okay. And here's the brutal paradox. The more desperately you chase approval, the less respect you get. Every single time. Because respect and approval are not the same thing. They feel similar, but they are completely different currencies. Approval says, "I like you." Respect says, "I take you seriously." And people cannot take you seriously when you're visibly auditioning for their acceptance. I watched this play out in a workplace meeting once. 2 employees. Same level, same experience. One agreed with everything the manager said. Every idea, every decision, every direction. He was nodding before the sentence finished. The other one listened carefully. And when he disagreed, he said so respectfully, directly, without apology. Guess which one people actually listened to? Guess which one got promoted? It wasn't the yes man. When someone constantly seeks approval, they're broadcasting one thing underneath all their words: uncertainty. But when someone stays grounded in their own thinking, doesn't cave under social pressure, doesn't need the room to validate them before they feel confident in what they said, people feel that. They feel the solidity of it. And that solidity is what respect is built on. But there's another signal being sent before you even get to any of that. Before you say a word. Before you introduce yourself. Before the conversation starts. Your body is already talking. Picture 2 people walking into the same room. First person comes in head slightly down, shoulders rolled forward, movements a little hesitant, kind of angling themselves to take up as little space as possible. Like they're quietly apologizing for existing. Second person walks in at a normal pace. Shoulders back and relaxed. Not puffed up, not performative, just natural. Head level. Movements calm and deliberate. Nothing dramatic. Nothing showy. Just settled. Same room. Same moment. Completely different response from everyone watching. Researchers have shown that human beings make social judgments in seconds. Not minutes, seconds. And in those first few seconds, your posture is doing the talking. A closed, tense body reads as uncertainty. An open, relaxed body reads as confidence. And confidence, not arrogance, not aggression, just quiet, unshakable confidence, is what pulls respect out of people almost automatically. But here's where most people get completely derailed by terrible advice. Social media has created this idea that confidence means dominance. That respected men are the loudest ones. The ones taking up the most space, making sure everyone knows they're in charge, performing strength for anyone who'll watch. That is not confidence. That is insecurity wearing a costume. Think about the most genuinely respected person you've ever known. A teacher, a mentor, a leader you'd actually follow into a difficult situation. Were they constantly proving themselves? Were they the loudest voice demanding attention? Almost certainly not. Because here's the thing about real confidence, it doesn't need an audience. Insecurity craves attention. Confidence is completely comfortable without it. Truly respected people don't fill the room with noise to compensate for something they feel they're lacking. Their presence fills the room on its own. There's a massive difference. And that brings us to one of the most powerful silent signals of all. Emotional control. Someone says something that could get under your skin. A low-key insult. A challenge. Someone questioning your credibility publicly. Person one, you can see it hit them. The jaw tightens. The eyes shift. They get defensive immediately, their voice changes, their whole energy changes. The emotion takes the wheel. Person two takes a breath. Stays composed. Responds from a place of stillness rather than reaction. Doesn't take the bait. Doesn't need to. Everyone in that room just watched two completely different demonstrations of inner strength. And they know, without being told, without a single explanation, which one they respect more. Because emotional control communicates one thing with absolute clarity. Says, my reactions belong to me. Circumstances don't control me. People don't control me. My emotions are mine. Most people hand that control away constantly, to situations, to other people's opinions, to the mood of the room. Respected people keep it. And everyone can feel the difference. Now here's one nobody talks about. The way you handle time. Most people rush. They rush how they walk, how they talk, how they answer questions. They fill every silence the second it opens because silence feels dangerous to them. They're afraid of the pause. Afraid that if they don't immediately respond, people will think they don't know the answer, or they're not confident, or they're not sharp. So they blurt. They ramble. They fill space with words that aren't fully formed yet. Respected people move differently. They pause before they respond. Not awkwardly, thoughtfully. They take a beat. They let the question sit for a second before they answer it. They don't rush their words like they're worried you'll leave before they finish. They speak like what they're saying deserves to be heard at whatever pace it naturally comes. I watched this happen in a job interview once. Two candidates, similar backgrounds, similar answers. But one of them answered every question the instant it finished, like a reflex. The other would pause briefly, just a second or two, and then answer. The second candidate came across as dramatically more confident. More senior. More authoritative. Not because their answers were better. Because their presence was different. Because calm behavior signals certainty. And rushed behavior signals that somewhere underneath you're afraid. But now, the thing I promised you. The deepest, most powerful source of silent respect. And it has nothing to do with your posture, your voice, or how long you pause before you speak. Respected people do not chase attention. Read that one more time. They do not chase attention. The rest of the world is out here performing. Constantly trying to be noticed. Trying to say the thing that makes people impressed. Trying to prove they're worth listening to. Trying to convince the room they belong there. Respected people already know they belong there. They're not running that program in the background. They're not scanning the room for approval. They're not measuring their worth by how many people are watching them. They walk in complete. Not arrogant, complete. There is a difference. And here's the paradox that'll make your head spin. The less desperately you need recognition, the more naturally it comes to you. Because when someone is obviously chasing attention, people sense the hunger underneath it. And hunger repels. But when someone is genuinely unbothered by whether they're the center of attention, that stillness pulls people in. That self-possession is magnetic in a way that no performance ever could be. The most respected people in any room are operating from a completely different internal script than everyone else. While others are thinking, how do I impress these people? How do I get them to like me? What do I say to make them take me seriously? Respected people are thinking one thing. I belong here. That's it. That's the whole operating system. 3 words. No performance required. Because respect doesn't start with what you say. It doesn't start with how you dress or what you've accomplished or how many people know your name. It starts the moment you stop asking for permission to exist. The moment you stop shrinking yourself to make other people comfortable. The moment you stop chasing validation from people who haven't even earned the right to validate you. That's the moment the room shifts. That's the moment people start listening before you speak. That's the moment you command respect, without saying a single word.